Hey guys, Professor Skibbles here. We're going to be going over how to use Steam Remote Play for your emulators or your games that have a local multiplayer that don't perhaps support Steam Remote Play, or they may not be on Steam. Or maybe you just want to, play a game with someone remotely, similar to how you do on Parsec, but instead of Steam. So this can be used for a lot of applications. Basically, anything you can imagine where you could want to patch an input and video. Um, you can run Steam Remote Play on top of, and it'll often work. So what this means for emulators is that we have the ability to, uh, instead of using, NetPlay and whatnot, use Dev9 or whatever, and setting up a bunch of network settings, or using the remote play that emulators often have, where it kind of sends the inputs over to the emulators and that sort of fashion. This method instead uses the way Parsec does, which is that it's going to be sending their inputs to your emulator itself, as if they're there sitting next to you, and you're going to be streaming your gameplay and everything from your computer, and it's going to be basically like you're sitting next to each other as far as the game's concerned, which is really cool for playing a bunch of older games and whatnot. Since they don't have networking a lot of times, and it's hard to get that going. And so what's cool about this is that you only have to have one person with the disc they collected from the collection. Um, so basically, you can host this. Like, say, with this going on right now, I could invite any one of my friends on Steam right now. They don't have to have own the escapist or anything like that, which is what I'm using for my remote play here to join. So basically, like I can just invite them through Steam. They'll get a link and just click on it, and then they don't have to own the game or anything. It just pulls up a little stream window, and they're patched in. And if they have a controller, it's all pretty straightforward. So with using PCSX2 on Steam Remote Play, however, you have the issue of input. This goes for any program you're using. You're going to want to make sure that your input is reading through XI input. And the reason that is because if you're using Steam input, it outputs all devices, controllers, PlayStation controllers, whatever, if they're enabled for Steam configuration. It'll spit them out as the XI input by default, which is what you want because when a player 2 connects, or player 3, player 4, whoever connects on your remote play together session, you're going to get XI input controller 2, XI input controller 3, and that's going to interface here with the emulator as long as it has these configured. So keep that in mind. But basically, we're going to close this because the way this works is we do not need this. So we're going to right click here on our game. So basically, any game that you pick has to have remote play together. So look for any lightweight game you don't play that often, anything that's easy to install, anything like that. I choose the Escapist because it's pretty small. I don't play that often. It's easy to be a good test case. So I right click here and I go to manage after installing it. You're going to install it, of course, but after you install it, you're going to go to manage and browse local files. And what this is going to do is take you into your um, Steam directory, specifically to the directory that includes the game that supports remote play. Now, if you'll notice here, you can kind of see what I've done if you look at the icons. What I've went ahead and done is made sure my emulator can start in here. So basically what that consists of is you can try using a shortcut. I don't know how well that will work. So I'm pretty sure you can't just add shortcuts as links. I think you do have to move the installation to the folder, or at least an executable to the folder. That is a link to it, the emulator. So make sure you get all your emulator files basically moved over here into the installation. So basically, whatever your PCSX2 is installed, you're gonna want to move all that over into this game folder. Um, Now, once you do that, you're basically going to have all these files, and hopefully nothing should replace. So a lot of times, nothing should interfere. Nothing did with most of the things I tested. Um, So, just kind of watch out for that. If folders start trying to replace each other, it may break the game, which doesn't really matter as long as PCSX2 takes precedent. Doesn't really matter what you do to the other game, unless you plan on playing the original at some point. So, what you'll want to do then is find your exe. So this would be my PCSX2 by default. I gotta rename this just, you know. So say PCSX2, this is my default exe for this, and say the Escapist 2 here is the actual game's exe, which is the Escapist 2.bat for me. But instead of playing the Escapist 2, I want to play PCSX2. So what am I going to do? I got to rename this, and I need to do like the Escapist 2 original, or basically anything for you to kind of know what it is. Um, Past that, then you just want to go to here, and now I would put the Escapist 2. And now, basically, when Steam goes to fire up this game, the Steam client's going to find this exe here, and it's going to fire up that with the all the Steam features that Steam includes for this game. So that involves remote play, the overlay, controller input, stuff like that. Um, Once you got that going, you'll just want to go back over to here, and let me just copy this out real fast. Oops. Okay, so if I start this game now, you'll notice that it starts up PCSX2. Okay, that's good. But the last step you really need to cover here to make sure you don't have any issues with input and video being frozen, because Steam Remote Play does not interact well with multiple windows. And as you know, if you play anything to do with, oopsie, if you play anything to do with, bear with me here for a sec. The emulator, it renders two things in a window. So you're going to have this here and this here, and what's going to happen is it's going to cause an issue where people connecting are not going to be able to see the thing because it's going to say you're all tabbed or your inputs paused, stuff like that. And then they won't be able to control or anything, and nothing will carry over. Um, so to fix that, you need to make sure everything renders in one window. Well, with PCSX2, how do you do that? A couple ways. The main way I use, I'm sure there's other methods if you really want to look around, but the easiest way, as far as I know, is to, let's close all this here. If you go over here to the properties, and you go over here to your, oh, I'm already in general. You're gonna have your launch options for the game, and basically what this is like shortcut properties. If you've ever put any kind of like launch options on a shortcut in Windows or anything like that, it's the same process here. So what I've went and done is I have this here. See how I have quotation, and then it goes into my directory for Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Um, so I'll go into my games folder here and say Mortal Kombat Armageddon. How do I get to this? Well, I just go up here, copy this, and then I'll put it in there, and it's going to take me to games, and I'll do \mkarm.iso. And then I put the dash dash no GUI after that, so space dash dash no GUI. And what that does is that's actually going to allow you to um, start up the emulator, and it's not going to pull up the extra configuration window. It's not going to ask you which one you want to start in the little drop down. It's going to fire up that direct window there, and it's going to load no extra GUI, so that way Steam Remote Play doesn't get confused based on which window to be looking at, and everything should look pretty flawless from there once you get everyone connected. So just to get an idea for what that should look like, notice how I'll start the game now. It didn't start up the PCSX2 window, it didn't do any of that, it just went straight to the emulator and it's running. So let's see here. And I'll kind of show you this. So see how that works right there? That remote play together, invite anyone to play with just a link from your friends list. Basically, if you got that, it means you're good to go. Now you can just go through Steam and invite anyone. My input's a little bit off, but yeah, just the Escapist 2 in my case, and remote play together. And as long as they have a controller or whatever, they can just fire it up like any other remote play game and just play a PlayStation 2 game. So with that, you have your Mortal Kombat, the 3D ones. You have your War of the Monsters. You know, all these classic games that go back from like whatever system you can think of, Dolphin emulators, whatever, like Wii, GameCube. Basically, you can play this via a all-on-one hosted solution from your computer without any downloads or any kind of trouble hassle from the other users. So in this way, you can act as sort of a host, if you will, and invite your friends and let them try games they may have never played because who's going to set up an emulator? That stuff will be kind of intricate. So hopefully, this helps you guys get some more people into the hobby and maybe show some more people some games. And really, maybe we can start getting more games going on Steam in general as far as playing these old classic games because this works pretty flawlessly as long as you guys got good network connections. And what I recommend for that is basically the less latency, the better. So Ethernet cables, fast connections, low proximity as far as like your distance to the other person that you're playing with. The closer you guys are, the better your guys' connection are, the better the gameplay is going to be, the faster it's going to be, the smoother it's going to be. Basically, the more flawless everything will run. Now, Steam networking does seem to be pretty forgiving as to how connections work because I've managed to play with my buddies from a pretty good distance, and the controls have been pretty okay even from across the pond. So time here, cooking some pizza. But basically, I think it would be pretty forgiving. But obviously, if you're playing something like Mortal Kombat or something like that, you're gonna want the lowest input delay possible for the other user. So, and then it's gonna cause an input advantage. Blah 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 blah. But basically, keep your latency as low as you can do. Um, but past that, you just fire it up, invite people, and play. But have a good one. I'll let you guys go. Hopefully, this helps you guys out.